Welcome to Live, Breathe Film, episode 125. You're here with Doug and Murph. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're paying tribute to Corey on his Remembrance Day by discussing his favorite TV show, Twin Peaks, which we both finally watched after his passing last year. If you don't know Corey, he was a co-founder of Live, Breathe Film and our co-host up until his passing last year. We also invited two of Corey's best friends to join us on the program today who were already aficionados of the show, Ryan and Jon, so they could speak to Corey's thoughts on the show as he was watching, along with their own thoughts. And as always, a friendly reminder before we begin, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to Live, Breathe Film wherever you choose to listen to your favorite podcasts. We appreciate all the support. All right, gentlemen. Jon, Ryan, you guys want to introduce yourself to kick things off?
Hey guys, I'm Jon. I've been friends with these guys for a while. I've been friends with Corey for a long time too. So very happy to be on the show. I won't say that I'll know as much about Twin Peaks as probably everybody else does, but good enough. So if you see me silent or making a dumb point, that's why.
I mean, when we're talking about Twin Peaks, I think we'll all be making dumb points.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, who honestly fully understands it other than David Lynch? I don't even know if, like, Mark Frost would be able to say he understood the entire thing.
I don't even know if David Lynch understands.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
That show was designed to make people sound dumb.
Yeah.
So,
well,
for 30 plus years,
we're living David's dream here.
I'm sure we'll get into that, but you can explain any singular episode, and anybody who's never seen the show would be like, "What?"
Exactly.
So,
Ryan?
Hey guys, met Corey when I was 18, and that was during the glorious GameStop days when we both worked at the store in Wayne. Recognized him like through mutual friends, through a whole bunch of gatherings, and he was like until we finally broke the ice and became best friends. He was always that mutual presence in the room that I just knew from the group. But then we started talking, and then the years flew by, which brings me here with his other best friends, and it's been a ride.
Sure has. Yeah, no, I think the first summer I really remember like Corey like connecting me with you guys was probably the summer of the return, because that's when he had when you threw the 30th birthday party at River of Beer and at your house, Ryan. And I remember coming out for that, and then that's sort of when we started to go see movies like all together and everything like that. It was later in that year and everything. But we'll dive more into your birthday later that year, which I was not at, but it is appropriate to talk about during this episode. And I'm glad we were able to get you on here. One funny little anecdote, because you did kind of mention it was like two groups of like best friends and everything like that. Yeah. One of the funniest things post Corey's passing was when Doug's wife found out about you guys like the week right leading into like the service and everything, like when she flew up to Jersey for that, and she was like, "Wait, Corey has another group of best friends." She's like, "Is this like a secret family?"
Yeah, secret family with Corey. Yeah, exactly.
And that was the funny thing, is because like before, Murph, you and I became good friends, and Doug, you and I became good friends. Like I knew of you guys for years.
Yeah.
Like just how like before Corey and I finally became friends, like I knew of him for years because he was a mutual presence. So even like after we just started talking, it felt like in a weird way we kind of already knew each other for years.
For sure.
Took too long, but we're here now.
Yeah, and I mean it was a different situation. I mean, I guess Corey really connected us kind of when you and I just both happened to be living together, like not living together, but living like within
down the block,
5 minutes, like apart walking. like very close. And I mean, and Doug was down in Florida at the time for the entire time, basically the entire time that you were friends with Corey.
The funny thing too, Murph, is that I was actually living right there too, because I was up off Glenwild.
Yeah, so we were all like right by one another,
like stacked, like around Quick Check, basically in like a perfect triangle of location.
Yeah, and we were absolutely definitely going to GameStop back when you guys were all working there. Or John, you weren't working there, but when Ryan, you and Corey were.
I tried
so yeah,
to.
it was like, yeah.
They didn't hire me. Dan didn't hire me. Remember that.
I told him not to. I had a reputation in the GameStop ecosystem to protect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Nice.
So yeah, it was like we knew each other before we actually did start to like hang out and everything, just because of Corey mentioning and everything like that. He'd be like by habit, he would still continue saying like my friend Ryan, like years after we were hanging out, like with you, like regularly, like he's our friend too now, Corey. You don't have to like hold him tight. Like we're all friends at this point. But yeah, that's basically the little background about the two of you guys since it's your first time on the podcast. But again, thank you for joining us as we do dive into the weird world of Twin Peaks. So yeah, why we're doing this, as I mentioned in the intro, Corey's first Remembrance Day is coming up. So we wanted to throw out an episode on his Remembrance Day for a topic that we felt was significant to him, who he was, and something that he would enjoy having been a part of. So this is to Corey. Twin Peaks is something that he absolutely loved, and it basically, I guess, got all four of us into it in one way or another. Ryan, you were the first to get into it after Corey. Do you know when he started watching? And then you could talk about when he pulled you in, how that experience was.
I don't know when he started watching, but he pulled me in probably the most obscure way anyone can get pulled into that show.
I'm sure.
Because there's a little cult classic video game originally on the Xbox 360 called Deadly Premonition.
Okay.
So it was a survival horror-esque game, and we both loved that game. And he introduced me that one too. So we would have conversations about that game and even mess around with it when we were hanging out. And he goes, "Hey, if you like this, you should really watch Twin Peaks, because this is basically Twin Peaks, the video game." And it literally is. Like, that game had this small town, Pacific Northwest, had the FBI agent, city boy FBI agent coming in to investigate a murder. It had the dark surrealism. It had the quirky, weird characters. It just had that very obscure style. So it was literally Twin Peaks, the game, and I realized that as I was watching the show. So with that context, I was already falling in love with the show as the pilot was going, and we watched it together because we started the show that same night. He was like, "Hey, you should watch."
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah.
This was summer of 2017.
2017. Yeah.
So
I think it was more.
Summer The Return was airing.
I think it was like March. It was early in the year when we started watching.
Okay.
So we had the conversation and we started watching that night. We started watching the pilot. It's like, oh my God. Like, so yeah, he's right. Like, this is literally that. But just the world, the storytelling, Dale Cooper especially just drew me in immediately. And then I couldn't stop watching. And then that was in addition to, the many things we shared an interest and fandom in, that was one of our biggest entertainment conversations in all the years to follow. So probably the weirdest way I would imagine anyone would get into Twin Peaks, but it's a very obscure reference, but a very appropriate gateway.
Yeah, I was expecting you to say Alan Wake just because that was the way you got Doug into
it's kind of. Yeah, I was
No.
thinking it's kind of funny you stole Corey's move on getting me into Alan Wake. Because that's like,
Someone has to do it.
that's exactly what you
Someone's
said to
gotta do
me,
it,
right? I started
Yeah.
playing Alan Wake, and you were like, if you like Alan Wake, you should you should watch Twin Peaks, and I was like, maybe I will.
Yeah, we'll get.
And for that reason, Alan Wake and Deadly Premonition, very, very alike in many ways.
Did you play this game yet, Doug? Deadly Premonition?
No, it sounds like it's only on Xbox.
Nowadays, you can play it on the Nintendo Switch.
Which you do have, thanks to Corey.
I do have a Switch, yeah.
There you go.
And you definitely need to get some usage, some mileage out of that.
I do need to use it more.
If you're not editing on the plane, there you go, Doug.
You guys know back in the day, like the PS2 era, how every movie had a very shitty game adaptation.
Oh yeah,
like every single movie.
Yeah,
this is the shitty game adaptation of Twin Peaks.
Fair enough.
Without names,
right?
So.
Yeah, no. Doug had Minority Report, the game, which on the cover had a person with blonde hair. Didn't look anything like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I'm sure they had to really make sure that looked nothing like Tom Cruise.
Exactly.
They didn't get sued.
Always found that funny being whenever we were at Doug's parents' house looking at that game.
I remember that.
That's really fun. I think I kind of remember that too. And if not, I'm gonna look it up.
John, when did you get into the show?
Oh boy. I'm pretty sure that I had been badgered by both Ryan and Corey for probably months to watch it. And I for whatever reason,
the full court press assault trying to get you to watch,
which is always how it goes.
Which I could totally picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it was in person or group text, I'm pretty sure they're like, John, you got to Twin Peaks. Did you watch Twin Peaks? Did you watch Twin Peaks? I think and Ryan, you're gonna have to help me on this because I don't exactly remember which it was. It was for your birthday. And maybe this is a little premature, but we did throw you that birthday party that was Twin Peaks themed, and that was the funny story. That was the inspiration for me to actually start watching the show because I was like, I don't think I can help throw a birthday party that's Twin Peaks themed if I've never seen the show. So this was in a different lifetime for me. You guys know what that means. And I had started it and made it through season 1. I loved it. I thought it was great. Started season 2 and just somewhere along the line kind of fell off the tracks. I don't know why. Life stuff, maybe. Who knows? I'm not exactly sure. I didn't end up picking it back up again until 2 years ago. And then I started from the beginning and ran through all the way until, part of the way through the return. Which
that was your fault. Started going back all the way to the beginning.
I know. But yeah, so really, in all honesty, I probably would have eventually watched it anyway, just because I always listened to Corey's recommendations and Ryan's recommendations. But I'm pretty sure that the reason to start was oh shit, I'm throwing this birthday party. I don't know a damn thing about this show. Probably should watch it so that I can show up and do something,
Well, talk more about the birthday party.
Oh man,
the two of you. I heard about it at the time, but it made its way to Kyle MacLachlan.
It did. I'll let Ryan talk about that part, but I can remember the setup for it. And Ryan, I don't remember what the deal was, but for whatever reason, we had access to your house and you weren't allowed to be there. So we were all in your house. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was obviously something going on for my birthday.
Right.
So, our whole friend group at the time, you, Corey, people from a past life.
Right.
You guys all made me go to my room, basically.
Oh, so you were just upstairs?
Go to your room, young man.
Go to your room.
You guys sent me to my room and made me stay there while you did your thing. And then I was finally allowed to come down. And man, I just remember I was so surprised. I just remember my eyes popping. Like, you guys did such a good job. Like, you really had the whole thematic spread. Like, you guys got donuts because those characters love donuts on that show. You guys had an iPad, like, playing the show on the table. One of our friends at the time dressed up as the name of the diner.
Double R.
Double R.
Double
Yeah,
R.
thanks.
Yeah.
As like a double R waitress. There was like a whole bunch of like aesthetic details. Definitely one of the most thoughtful events, like, my friends have thrown for me. What a good time. But going back to the point in which this somehow did reach Kyle MacLachlan. We were there, and before we really dug into everything, Corey had taken pictures, and he posted on Instagram and tagged Kyle MacLachlan and said, "Hey, throwing a birthday party for my friend here, throwing a Twin Peaks party. Do you want to give him a shout out?" And he responded. He said, "Hey, happy birthday," with all the little Twin Peaks-esque emotes.
Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there you go.
We got it.
Yeah. Oh, that actually helps to jog the memory because we set up the different themed things with quotes from the show. And then, that was awesome.
I mean, like, you guys made Double R cup. Like,
Kyle
there
MacLachlan
was
the
freaking
donuts.
cherry pies.
Cherry
right?
pie, yeah.
We had one of my favorite things was we did get an old-fashioned percolator, and we did put like a fake fish in the percolator.
Yeah.
I don't know if we use it to make real coffee or not, but we definitely put a fish in it.
I don't think so. Not that I remember.
It was a great time.
This was one of the most magical moments of my life.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm looking at the dates on here. So it would have been the night of the party would have been the night before the penultimate week of the return. So it would have been like the big fan servicey episode of the return. So it was right during like Twin Peaks Mania in the summer of 2017. I guess it would have been a week before your birthday. And
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, it looks like the finale of the return was the night before your birthday that year.
Yeah, I do remember
great.
that.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty cool birthday present.
Yeah, the timing of that is awesome.
To get the double episode finale.
I'm sure that helped with Kyle's reply. I'm sure he was hot on
yeah,
Twitter.
definitely.
Oh, yeah.
On Twitter, right? Remember Twitter?
Well, that's
Exactly.
the other thing that was
This was
so
not X.
surprising.
This was Twitter.
Yeah, this was Twitter. Yeah.
That's what made it even more surprising. Like he's probably getting bombarded with a whole bunch of stuff from the fandom. So
yeah, and he responded at 12:05 a.m. So I guess I would be. He probably lives on the West Coast, if I had to guess. So it was probably 9:05 p.m. His time. But yeah, he definitely would have been getting bombarded with Twin Peaks stuff, no doubt about it. With only 3 episodes left in the show.
Yeah, that was cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, everything about that night was just so cool.
So then you were caught up at this point, or were you a little still like catching up on return leading into the finale?
Yeah, I think I was catching up because if I recall correctly, the finale was actually the only Twin Peaks episode I've ever seen live.
Okay.
So I was probably still working my way through, the return episodes that had aired in weeks prior. Because I wanted to make sure I was ready for the finale, and I wanted to catch that in real time.
Yeah, I remember actively like reading about the return as it was airing, since I'm like a TV buff like person. Like I have a book called TV the Book, and it literally ranks like the 100 best shows of all time, and Twin Peaks was on that list. This came out in 2016. I would be very interested to have seen a revised list after the return and see how far it moved up. But I do remember hearing some of the big moments like as it was going on, and had always heard about the show and some of the most iconic aspects of it prior to me getting into it myself. But yeah, like looking back at texts, like I do remember us texting Corey being the episode the night after that birthday party. and saying to him, like, I heard last night was like a massive episode, like a big like fan servicey type one, and then being like, oh yeah, it was great, like everything you could have wanted. And then me, Doug, and Corey immediately go into then bashing Game of Thrones, and it's season how that season was going. Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably like, because I do nothing really about Twin Peaks. So I was probably like, let's change the subject to something that I think I know something about.
Yeah, it was like the second to last season. When I guess they split it up into like that 6 and 6 episode, the 2-year gap in between or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was very delighted to talk about Twin Peaks, and we were just having a laugh talking about Game of Thrones. But Doug, you and me were holdouts as far as watching the show. We unfortunately didn't watch it until after Corey passed, and even then it did take a bit. But we were both like committed. Like it had been like I actually do have a watch list and being like do intend to get to them. Doug knows like they could be on that watch list for a very long time though before I actually do get to them.
It can be very frustrating. If you're like Murph, watch the show, and he's like it's on the list, doesn't mean he's gonna watch it anytime soon. It could be like years before he gets to it.
But I do have a full intention of watching it though. And last summer before Corey passed, I did like say like I'm like all right, like I think this like is going to be like the next one I do, and unfortunately he passed, so we didn't get the experience of talking about it with him, which does suck. And
makes you feel better, Murph. Listen, your to watch list was like Corey's to play list in video games.
True, it was like a spiritual like sibling to all his various to watch lists.
You were each other's antithesis, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, there were plenty of TV shows I tried to get him to watch over the years, and he would eventually get to them. Like Better Call Saul, he got to it like right before passing. Like he finished it, which we were happy that happened. Plenty of movies and video games and all that, and yeah, you guys know all about the video games and the lists. That
oh yeah,
what he intended to versus what he actually got to. But yeah, Doug, you and we didn't get to it until this year, 2025. So I guess you can talk more about because you were firmly settled into watching it at a more specific date than I was this year. So you want to dive into your experience?
I mean, we kind of said my experience. Ryan pulled a Corey on me.
I guess we did.
I was like really into Alan Wake at the time, looking to like basically play that game, the second game over again. And Ryan was like, I got a new like fix for you, which is, Twin Peaks. And that's kind of what set me down that path. It's been like a long path though, because it took a really long time for me to get through it all. I kind of had that season 2 lull that John went through where it was just like I got through like a certain part of the story and then I just like I got distracted, and then getting back was a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
So I can definitely relate to that, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, you went through the Alan Wake games a lot faster than Twin Peaks. But when you would watch Twin Peaks, you like were on a roll. Like you went through season 1 and made the end of the Laura Palmer arc in beginning of season 2 real fast, and then you went through when you got back into 2, you flew through the rest of it really fast. Granted, you wanted to get done for this podcast.
Yeah,
so.
It was also like you have 2 weeks to watch half a season, a movie, a whole nother season of The Return,
the longest season of the show,
and then
as far as minutes go.
The Missing Pieces was kind of like then wound up on the list as well. So it was a lot to watch in 2 weeks.
But Twin Peaks is one of those things though that I almost feel. I mean, this didn't exist when it was airing on live TV. You couldn't binge it, but I almost feel like it's one of those things that you kind of have to binge, because if you do fall off, at least for me, I did have to go back to the beginning because it just stopped making sense. Not that it made a lot of sense while we were watching it anyway, but it made even less sense if you took a break and then popped back in like 4 months later. You're like, what on earth is going on?
It's definitely not something where you can take long breaks and then
Right.
like just jump right back in. Like I think it probably would have killed as like a weekly TV show where
Yeah.
you would have been talking about it with your friends over the course of each
Sure.
week and like
Right.
theorizing. Like so many of those like mystery box shows like Lost and
Yep.
other ones. But yeah, if you take like a long gap between, especially like in the middle of a season,
Oh, forget it.
you're kind of screwed.
You're screwed.
And like, especially when you didn't have recap videos and stuff like that back in the day, also, like you can find a million recap videos of something online now.
Yep.
But you would need for Twin Peaks, and it would need to be a very long recap video based on the amount of characters, story arcs, and everything going on all at the same time.
And that's what we're gonna do tonight.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, I'm kidding.
And
I have until 10 a.m., guys.
Yeah.
That's your hard stop.
Next week.
Fair enough. So we have 13 and a half hours. Perfect. Oh wait, but you're an hour behind. 14 and a half. Perfect. But then for myself, yeah, what really did it for me, it was just coincidence. It was around the same time that Doug was playing Alan Wake, was then David Lynch passed in January. So he passed on January 15th, 2025. And that was when it was like finally like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start watching. Doug and I, we both started watching that same week. His birthday was January 20th. So that was the day I finally was like, all right, starting, watch the pilot. Yeah. And went through first season. I would say was probably the one that took me the longest to get into it. Just as far as like the tone being so much different than what I'm used to from modern day television, or really any television I've ever watched. Because Twin Peaks is more of a soap opera, I would say, than I'm used to, with the amount of affairs and the characters interacting in different ways and just the sheer abundance of characters. But yeah, once I got into it, I went through it pretty quickly. Like it was a point where Doug was flying past me, and then it got fine when he got on that pause, that hiatus, then I sped past him. And then this past week, coincidentally enough, I was like, you know what, I'm finally going to watch The Missing Pieces. It was the only thing I hadn't watched. I got a free weekly trial of the Criterion channel. Watched that. Then Doug was finishing up The Return. I sent him my log, and I was like, hey, you got a couple days left before this trial runs out. You should check it out. And then he watched it. So we both started and finished Twin Peaks, technically the same week that we started and finished the show, which I thought was pretty cool. And then that leads us to now.
That's great.
But yeah,
we
now
all
that
have great stories.
Yeah, we all have great stories, unique stories, and we were all ultimately satisfied by what we watched, which is the most important part. But let's then, I guess, I kind of talked a little bit about my initial thoughts about the show. What were all your initial thoughts? Did you get the tone? Did you get, like, for me, the thing I struggled with the most was remembering all the characters and all their various dynamics and how they were related to one another. It seemed like everyone had a relationship with every character. And like, I was struggling in season one with like where everyone fit in.
Yeah.
I remember texting you. I was like, every character is having an affair with another character on the show. Like, this is crazy.
Every single one. Yeah, I mean, actually, funny thought. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, when you start any show, I feel like there's always that initial struggle to remember all the characters' names, of course, because you're not familiar with it. You have to remember who's who, remember the names themselves, and then tie the names to the faces and all the fun things that you do. But for some reason, for me, I think I shared some of that, Murph, with like just actually matching all the characters together. Yeah. I don't know what, I mean, there is a shroud of mystery about Twin Peaks anyway. Like, that's kind of the point. But for whatever reason, I felt like it was pretty difficult for me in the beginning to remember everybody. Even to this day, having watched it, and actually having even watched seasons 1 and 2 basically twice through full, almost, I still have to look up names. I'm like, oh wait, who is this person again? What's their name? Like, you remember the things that happen, but then you forget, who is this person? What are the relationships? So that to me felt a lot like, in a weird way, weird comparison, Game of Thrones.
No, I was just gonna say
Yeah,
Game of Thrones.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many connections, so many different plot lines, things that they'll bring up in one episode, pause for 5 episodes, and then pop back up again. And you're like, oh shit, that's right, that just happened, or 5 episodes ago. So that was a struggle for me too.
Yeah, I was like, why can't I remember all the like? I was just looking at the screen. I'm just like, I see just so many like early '90s white people, and I cannot remember all of their names. I'm struggling so much, but eventually, I got it. So,
yeah,
not a lot of diversity in Twin Peaks.
No, but
not till the Red Room, and even still,
yeah, and you bring up the Red Room. I think that was when I first was like, all right, like that's when I like fully got into it. Was the first time you like saw the Red Room, so which I think was like maybe episode 3 or 4. Ryan, you might know more than I when exactly like the first time we went to the Black Lodge and the Red Room was.
Yeah, I think it was like midway through season 1. Sounds right.
That's when it was like, all right, we're getting more supernatural, got more into this.
When our favorite gum came back in style, right? Or whatever the quote is. Don't quote me.
I think I found like an instant comfort with that show on a couple different levels.
Was the music so soothing?
Yeah. Like I still go to sleep to that soundtrack.
Do you really?
No.
I genuinely hope not.
I was hoping you were going to say, oh, yeah, I got the vinyl and everything.
I actually do have the vinyl. It's just not my lullaby. There's a humor to that show and the characters that I loved already. Just like unapologetically obscure and weird and quirky and like without and just with total ambiguity. And I couldn't even tell you from some other things that I drew that enjoyment for. I think not that this is anything like that, but Tim and Eric's Awesome Show is one of those things, which is a very particular type of humor that's never going to explain itself, and you either like it or you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's a certain type of like absurdist comedy that
right.
And you get or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was getting from these characters in this town. And having come from, right from playing the game Deadly Premonition, where it's the exact same thing. And it's almost like the characters in that show are like, they act like programmed NPCs with just their absurdity. And that was just, I loved that. And like, that was just instantly comforting to me. So I immediately got wrapped into like their nonsense and their subplots and the daily drama that was intertwined with the grander plot and the Red Room and Dale Cooper and the murder mystery. And that never got old to me. So I think right from the get-go, like I was in it.
Yeah.
And it was because of that weirdness that all these characters were demonstrating in each of their unique individual ways.
Yeah, I mean, it is considered to have one of the greatest pilots of all time, so it makes sense that you'd instantly dive into it. But I know that music to me at the beginning was like Dramamine. I was like, oh man, you know what? I would love a nap right now.
Yeah.
Like,
it is very it's kind of like lullaby-esque.
It took me a bit to get used to it.
Kind of like a soap.
It's purely nostalgic at this point, but it's also like very liminal too. Like just there's like an undertone of discomfort there.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I mean, I get that too. I feel those same things. I think when I think about the show, but I think for me there wasn't, Murph, like for you said it was when we first saw the Red Room and the Black Lodge. Like that's what did it for you. I don't know if it was that for me. It was so mysterious and weird that I kept watching because I was very confused as to what on earth this even was. I couldn't make
Yeah.
sense of it. And it wasn't the mystery about Laura Palmer. Like, that wasn't the thing that got me. It was just, I literally was watching the show thinking to myself, what is even happening here? Are these real people? Like, what? I think actually it was, I'll tell you what did it. It was like the 90s nostalgia feeling that popped into my soul after watching maybe 6 or 7 episodes and just watching Coop. Probably a lot of the scenes at the Double R when they're drinking coffee or eating pie. Like, I don't know, something about that whole vibe and the diner feel maybe in general just brought back 90s nostalgia to me. And it became, regardless of what was happening in the plot, it became a very nostalgic and comfortable show to just put on. It's like it teleports you back to a time that doesn't exist anymore, which is funny because I don't know if I would have felt the same way if I watched it in the 90s.
And I feel like the people watching in the 90s probably got like a 50s nostalgia from the show.
Right.
I mean, the whole diner aspect.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters
it doesn't
were
feel
all
90s.
it has like a throwback vibe. Like a lot of 90s, familiar character archetypes of so like it kind of is timeless in a way.
Right. Yeah. And that was really it. And then of course, you keep going and then you're invested in the plot because you're watching everything. Before you know it, you're like 20 episodes in and you're like, okay, here we go. We're a fan of this show now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it was a little bit of that, but it was also like there was something just like really likable about Agent Dale Cooper, and just like how happy he was to be in Twin Peaks. It was just kind of like a little bit infectious, I thought, where like he's just like, this is the best pie I've ever had. This is the best cup of coffee I've ever had. Where he's just like, he's just so happy, like with everything. I mean, he's in this like place that, I think most people, if they had to like go to Twin Peaks on like to solve a crime case, you'd be like, this fucking sucks. But he's just like, this is amazing. Like, did you try this pie? Like, this pie is like amazing, cherry pie. So it's just like, there's just something about like, I mean, I think that it's very clear why like Cooper winds up being like a fan favorite, because he's just like such a happy, fun character.
He's got women with logs walking up to him saying cryptic things like listen to the owls or whatever she says. Brian corrects me on that, and he's just like, okay. And then the next morning he's like, wow, coffee.
Well, I think as grumpy aging adults, he's who we aspire to be every day.
Yeah.
we hate the complaining about all the little, or at least I do. Maybe I'm just calling myself out here. But just complaining about all the little things and kind of like huffing at nothing. And Dale Cooper is what you'd rather be.
He's an aspirational character.
He's a personification of the ideal energy that we all wish we could have.
And it's really funny how Kyle MacLachlan didn't want to get typecast like as that character and like that like cherry personality from Twin Peaks, because the first time I ever saw him in anything was actually Corey's birthday party when we were in first grade, and we saw the Flintstones.
And he's the
villain in the villain in the movie. And I remember like as a kid being like, this actor is sleazy. Like this is a sleazy movie, like the way he is with Halle Berry's character. And even like a little bit older, like I don't know, sometime within the next 5 years, I had watched Showgirls, which I was not supposed to be watching. And again, sleazy fucking character in that movie. So I had always, for a long time, like associated Kyle MacLachlan with like these just gross characters. And it wasn't until watching like Portlandia, the sketch comedy show, where again, that's another one where either you get it or you don't. Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein. But he played the mayor of Portland on that show, and most cheery personality in the world. It's like he went back to like the type of personality he had on Twin Peaks, and I was like, holy shit, he's hilarious. And then after that, I had seen Blue Velvet and things before eventually diving into Twin Peaks and being like, he is so good as like this nice, superhuman character.
Did you see How I Met Your Mother?
Yes. The first 5 seasons and the series finale.
All right, so I'm pretty sure you would have encountered Kyle MacLachlan in How I Met Your Mother then at that point. He's a recurring character through several seasons called the Captain. He's basically like this rich guy who just loves boats. He's like a sea captain, so everyone calls him the Captain. Okay. And the running joke is that, and I'm pretty sure this is actually probably, now that we're talking about it, a play on the different types of characters that he's played in the past. Because the running joke is you can never tell if he's going to murder you cold blood or if he's happy to see you and just like a funny guy. And there's this one particular episode where they actually take a picture of him. And Marshall is played by Jason Segel's character, or I should say Marshall is the character played by Jason Segel. They take like a piece of paper and they cover up different parts of the painting. So like they'll just show his eyes. They're like, he's going to murder you. But then you go down to his mouth and he's like smiling. And I think now that I think about it, it's just very funny to show that like he can play these different roles and you can believe it either way.
He's just a great actor. Yeah. I just looked him up. He debuted in season 6, so I did miss him.
Oh, so you just missed. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think I saw him either, but I kind of now want to go see those at least those clips.
Yeah. Oh, he's actually, I don't know how many, I'm sure IMDb would tell you how many episodes he's actually in, but if I had to guess off the top of my head, I would say probably at least like 8 to 10 episodes throughout the whole series.
But yeah, I mean, I think Coop's certainly the most iconic character on the show. Everyone's favorite character, I'm assuming.
Oh,
or is somebody? I would say, who's your second favorite character? Because I'm just going to go out on a limb and say everyone's favorite character is probably. Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Yeah. Somebody else go first. I got to think.
Who stood out to you among the cast? Whether it be the movie, there's any version of the show, whatever it is.
I'm going to be a total wild card and say James Hurley. No, I can't even keep a straight face. That was 100%.
I'm glad that was.
You're like, I'm glad I didn't have to disconnect you from this podcast right now.
Yeah.
I guess, and your favorite song just happens to be Just You, also?
That I actually do play before I go to sleep.
You know
what? Maybe this is obvious or not, but I would have to say Gordon Cole. Because every time he enters the room, it's like hilarity.
Yeah,
I mean that's fair. Yeah. It's fair, and it's mad respect for David Lynch for sure.
Yeah, and he gets a ton of screen time. Like he only appeared so frequently in those first 2 seasons, but he's like one of the most important characters in The Return. And he's in it a lot.
Yeah, and I appreciate that they actually gave him a more dramatic side to play, where David Lynch gave himself a more dramatic side to play with in The Return. Not bashing that, because he was amazing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I guess now, considering the full scope from season 1 to The Return, I think Gordon is a very easy number 2 for me.
I'm going to say something. I'm also going to take a risk here, maybe. I actually think maybe Audrey Horne. I think that she's a great character. Obviously she's very pretty, but it has nothing to do with that.
Girls on Twin Peaks are pretty? I had no idea.
Hey, listen.
I thought that was part of the job description was you have to be like a bombshell to be in this town.
It could have been, but that's not why I like her. I like her because I think her character is fantastic, because she does have a higher sense of purpose, and she uses her skills probably, in a similar manner to Coop does, right? She knows what she can do. She can manipulate and she can entice people, and she does it. And she does have that higher sense of purpose in chasing truth and what she believes is right. And she does it. And she'll break rules, and she'll defy her father essentially, right? And everybody, and break the law to do what she thinks is right. And then sometimes what she thinks is right is just chasing Cooper. But in other times, what she does is chasing truth. I said that 17 times. I just think that she's good. She does it well.
She's great.
Yeah, she does it well.
Yeah.
I do think you haven't obviously finished the return, but I would say one of the things that I think I was most.
You can give spoilers, by the way. I am behind. It's my fault. So go ahead. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I thought she was underused, and I didn't like the. I mean, I was satisfied with ultimately where her story ended in the return, but for the most part, her scenes were kind of like I think they were designed purposely to like just drag on and on. And the character. Doug,
yeah, I found myself. I was just gonna say I found myself zoning out during like her stuff because I was just like it was so tiring and boring for me.
Oh, that's a shame.
I would have hoped for more from, but the return does not play like it's a very unforgiving show in the fact that like it's not about fan service or anything like that. Like it's like David Lynch and Mark Frost being like, we're doing what we want to do, and I'd say even more so David Lynch saying I'm doing what I want to do. That's how you're getting me back. And I mean, if your fan favorites, things don't go according to plan, or you don't get a lot of them, that's the price you have to pay for the show returning.
And I have no doubt her episode in particular was just mad genius design as far as tone goes, and it wasn't, it had nothing to do with like just mundane filmmaking. Like I'm sure whatever David Lynch was going for in that episode, like he got exactly what he wanted out of it, because it felt like, which was the point, I guess, it felt like a fever dream that we were trapped in, or like a psychotic episode that we wanted to get out of, but we couldn't. So I think whatever he was going for, he did it successfully.
But yeah, Audrey, that's a very strong pick. If I was going with just seasons 1 and 2, I might go with the same pick. I think for me, I'm going to go with another wild card. I thought Gordon Cole was a very good pick. I'm going to go the other side of the coin and go with Albert Rosenfield. Dale's buddy at the FBI, who has the complete opposite personality of him. When he eventually makes his way into Twin Peaks, he kind of sees it as like this completely strange, like foreign place coming from like a city, versus Dale, who finds everything about it magical. But then eventually like warms up in his own way to these folks that live in the town and like their way of life and everything. And I love the fact that he had as much screen time as he had in The Return alongside David Lynch, because they were kind of like tied to a hip in The Return. So yeah, all three of those special agents that all work for the FBI, all awesome.
I was thinking about Albert too. I almost said Albert, but I changed last minute.
But yeah, if I was only going with the original run, I think I would have went Audrey.
Okay.
Doug?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one.
There's so many characters to choose from.
Yeah. I think maybe Big Ed.
That's good.
Big Ed Hurley.
Like
yeah.
I mean, he's such a sympathetic character because he has to put up with Nadine so much, and she's just like so horrible.
He just keeps getting beaten down like by life.
Yeah, but I mean,
poor Ed.
I liked where his story ultimately went in The Return. I thought they kind of like he got one of the better like endings as far as characters go. But yeah, I mean, he just like the way he deals with like Nadine basically reverting to being like a high school kid again, and like I don't know, he just kind of rolls with the punches.
Oh, Nadine.
Nadine.
He's a real one.
When she gets her superpowers.
Oh man, season 2 going back to high school.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't like remember. Do they tell us how him and Nadine wind up together? Because obviously, like that, he's like that was a mistake.
He felt sorry for the accidentally the thing that happened to her eye.
Oh,
right. Well, right? And then
Is this going into the return? You mean, or
This
just
is going in. This is season 1 and 2.
season 1 and 2? Okay, yeah.
You're wondering how Big Ed got with Nadine, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel
No,
like they explained it, but I don't really remember.
I think it was
like, how it happened.
in relationship to her, like her eye situation,
yeah, I think so.
and
too.
him being responsible.
Yeah, he felt
Okay.
And then, but he already like had the thing with Norma, like her being his true love and everything, but he took one for
Wait,
Nadine.
took one for Nadine.
does Dougie count as a character? Because if so, I'm gonna have to change my pick.
I would say so. Yeah.
Dougie?
It's I would
It's
say
kind of a-
minor,
it's kind of a
minor
cheat.
cheating,
It's a cheat.
minor cheating,
It's
but
a cheat. But I was just thinking,
Because
like,
Dougie
oh,
is
Dougie counts as
technically
a character. Like that's
he's Coop, just like Brain Dead, but he's fantastic.
The one.
Oh, go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
No, that was me. Go ahead, Ryan.
While we're still on the subject of characters we love, I want to give a special shout out to Ben and Jerry Horn.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because every single one of their hijinks gets me every time.
To this day, I will admit now that I think about this more than I should. I want a baguette with butter and brie. Like every day, I could eat that exact sandwich and probably react the exact same way that they do.
Somehow I haven't
could.
tried that either.
That was a miss. We should have had that at your birthday party. My bad.
Oh well. In hindsight, I guess it was almost perfect.
Actually, you know what? It's your fault, Corey. Corey, why didn't you think of that?
This is on you.
Especially season 2, when Ben had his
Breakdown.
Civil War breakdown.
Oh God, that was
my god!
And everyone was just feeding into it.
They all reenacted.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy about that? Like, listen, I'm not going to claim like I'm any kind of expert in psychology or psychiatry even, but I feel like there's something in that world where sometimes you have to like play out the fantasy. So in a weird way, they all just kind of helped him get over his own psychosis by letting him play out his fantasy.
I mean, that seems to be
Right?
Doc Hayward and Dr. Jacoby's like
Yeah.
way of like treating everything. Oh, just go with it. And
Go with it.
eventually, you'll go back to normal.
I mean, he was right.
He was in both cases.
It works. Yeah.
And Nadine went back to herself, and so did Ben.
I mean, in A Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe's character played through his whole fantasy and then found out at the end that he was,
Yeah.
it wasn't real. So,
Speaking of the General Lee, I know
generally.
Corey would get a kick out of this. I know Kate used to say, what was I think the line from who was it? From Catherine Martell. She said to Ben was when he was in his General Lee phase was "Kiss me, General Lee," and Kate would always say that to Corey, and Corey would just be like appalled by it. So shout out to Kate for that, because she did say, she's like, eventually you're going to get to a point in the show where there's a line that I used to say to Corey a lot, and maybe he'll pick up on it or not. I didn't, but that was it.
I mean, that could have been one of like 5 million lines from the show, Don't die, Murph. Don't die.
Yeah, no, I'm recovering from being sick, so
Oh, that's right.
the coughing is apologies.
Yeah, I have
Trying to mute it whenever I'm not talking, and I do cough.
Well, don't worry. I got like my cough drops here too. So same
Yes,
way.
I've been popping those pills as of yesterday. But all right, what about any least favorite characters who came on screen and you'd be like, oh no, fuck this person, get them off?
Oh, I have one immediately. Josie Packard, immediately. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
like Josie either.
No.
What did it to you? What about Josie? So you guys,
Everything. Dumb character, dumb plot line, and then she becomes a doorknob or whatever. So
Well,
Yeah, I was like, what happened to her? Is she now in the doorknob? Like, what
no, They could
And they
have
never circle back.
They could have completely erased her storyline and nothing would have changed. So immediately for me, it's Josie, 100%.
Yeah,
The one thing she left me with. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
I was just gonna say, like, it is weird that they never circle back to that. Like, just even like a zoom in on it, like just show her in the doorknob still or something. But yeah, no, it's just like
Why?
That's how her story ends.
It was just silly. It was silly.
Well, that's when the writers' room was just absolutely just lost without Lynch.
But I think even from the start, though, for me, I was never a huge fan of Josie. Like, not that she was a bad character, really, but just, she always looked like sad and surprised all the time and like scared of everything. And then I never really knew what was going on with her plot. And then no one cared. Like, it didn't matter. It just literally didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what like Sheriff Truman saw in her either. Like, it was just kind of like, it didn't really seem like there was like anything there. He would just go over and like they'd bang.
I saw.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought Pete had a better relationship with Josie than Harry did. Like a more believable one, like him, like kind of like pining over her and like.
Yep.
I thought that felt like real, and I did enjoy that aspect and seeing that side of Pete because I mean just seeing him in being with Catherine was not. Catherine's not a cat. I definitely don't like that character.
No, yeah, that's fair. Yep.
I mean, also, how have we never talked about this? Or Doug, I never texted you when we were watching the show. The whole Asian face arc where Catherine's in disguise.
Yeah.
Imagine that being on TV today. Oh man, no,
I
forgot about that. Where she's like playing that Asian man.
Yeah, plays a whole nother character.
Businessman at the lodge.
For like 5 episodes or something like that.
It's not even believable, like the makeup or anything. It's like looks so bad.
It's true.
Yeah.
Somehow, because that was such a ridiculous idea, I didn't see that coming.
I mean, I didn't see it coming either.
I didn't see coming who it was. I figured she was still alive. But yeah, I didn't see it coming that she was under that makeup.
I knew it was somebody like dressed up as an Asian person that wasn't Asian. I just couldn't tell like who until they're like.
I'm like, oh my. 1991, baby.
They could have made it Laura Palmer. That would have been
fun. Right. I mean, they already had Sarah Lee playing multiple characters.
Yeah,
Maddie.
Yeah.
All right, so nobody's saying. It doesn't sound like anyone's saying James as their least favorite character. I'm going to go with Leo Johnson. That was my least favorite.
That's fair.
So mean to Shelley and just yelling all his lines and just I'm like, well, why would anyone like listen to this guy? So when he gets his comeuppance in season 2 with Wyndham Earl, kind of enjoying that. And you never actually find out what happens to him. I assume he dies in that cabin.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't upset that he didn't return for the return.
It's funny. Like, I don't think that James Hurley is necessarily a good character per se. Like,
yeah,
he's probably a bad character, but he's a good character because he's a bad character.
Yeah, he's.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's. I don't know if it was intended to be funny, but it is.
I mean, do you guys agree with me that the worst story arc of the entire show is when James leaves the town and is living in that mansion with that couple who are then trying to pin
what was that
on him? Yeah, I think was the lowest point of the show for me.
That was probably the only part of that weird season 2 period I didn't like.
I would agree with that. Like,
because everything else, like there was some hilarity to appreciate. Like I call that era in particular the quirky side quests of Twin Peaks. Like it's like when you're playing a game, you take a break from the main story to explore all these weird side quests that all these characters have, and that's what it felt like. And it gives you a peek into the daily life of all these weirdos. And most of the time, that was super entertaining to me, except for that arc.
I would agree with that. I was telling Murph, or I texted Murph, I was like, I'm actually kind of enjoying this like part of the show that I'm supposed to hate. I mean, because we talked about the General Lee stuff is all during that.
It helped that everyone like lowers everyone's expectations, being like, this is the worst thing ever. You go from like the greatest stuff, and then there's this horrible lull, and then it gets really good again. So like you're lulled into a sense of like this is going to be complete and utter crap to like, no, this is actually like kind of like this is pretty entertaining.
That's where I was.
Just seeing like Coop and Harry and them like doing their own like doing this other stuff. Isn't that when David Duchovny first pops up?
Yeah.
Is that during that period too?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So like they had some good stuff.
What's the character's name again?
Denise.
Denise, yes.
Denise.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denise is great.
Like Heather Graham pops up, I think around towards the end of that period. Billy Zane. There's a lot of people, future famous people that pop up during that period.
It's you guys probably went through the same thing. I mean, maybe not, but I knew it was coming because I had Corey and Ryan to warn me that the middle of season 2 is all, again, like you guys described it as the side quests of Twin Peaks. So I knew it was coming, but even knowing it was coming, when I first saw it happen, you could tell the switch. And there was a little bit of disappointment in the beginning. Like, what the hell is, I don't want to watch this. And then suddenly I'm like 5 episodes in a row on some random like Saturday night. And I'm like, oh, this is weirdly good. I don't know what's happening. I don't really know why, but I kind of want to keep watching it. And it reminds me of something really completely random. So random. I don't know if you guys ever played the Fable games back in the day, like Fable 2, Fable 3. Fable 3 had this random side quest that reminds me of Twin Peaks. It made no sense. You go through all this crazy stuff that is completely irrelevant to the plot. And then your reward at the end is something called the Legendary Condom of the Gods. And then it just drops you right back into your main game. And you're like, what the hell did I just go through for 45 minutes for this? And that is like season 2 Twin Peaks in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why it reminds me of that.
I haven't played it, but it sounds weird.
It's definitely weird.
That's a David Lynch payoff.
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe he wrote that quest. Who knows?
All right. So then I guess we get through Ryan, you talked about how the writer's room was a complete like mess during that middle of season 2. I mean, they clearly ABC forced the solving the Laura Palmer case, which not smart for ratings, since they went down the tubes after the mystery was solved, and then after David Lynch and Mark Frost took their break from the show, and then it comes back with a bunch of good episodes. David Lynch is appearing again on the show, and then just ends with a banger episode that David Lynch directs himself, and then it's basically the David Lynch show from there on out. So I guess we could talk about how the tone really changes at the end of season 2, and then really gets more Lynchian in the movie and the return, and how you felt towards that shift in tone.
Was it two totally different shows?
Agreed.
But it felt oddly appropriate because like can't end the way they ended in season 2 in the original run without there being just a huge shift in the world, because that was a shell shock ending, and it almost felt like the tone shift of the return was a dark cloud that now hung over that world and Twin Peaks, because of what happened and what happened with Coop and all the implications. So it felt like the show matured with that twist ending and that reveal, and it was just a darker place. So it never didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to think that was part of his design, when other than just doing whatever he wanted as a Lynch project, because it just as jarring as that change was, it just made sense to me.
Yeah, and how great that it actually like they teed up the whole 25 years later on the show, and then like just based on fate and luck, what have you, that ends up basically being what happens is them circling back to the show 25-ish years later, filming it to end up being released in 2017.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy. Like I feel like watching Twin Peaks seasons 1 and 2, you always obviously knew about the darker undertones. They were always hinted at. There were even a couple episodes that got darker than some of the other ones, but then there were also some very, very light episodes where you don't feel like there's even a problem in the world. Everyone's having coffee and donuts and everybody's having a great time, right? So I always feel like seasons 1 and 2 were building up towards that dark moment where things shift anyway. So I always knew something was coming. I didn't know what, because it's very Lynchian and I can't predict that stuff. I don't think anybody really can. So it was definitely weird when you got to the end of season 2. And then, probably for most people watching live, then there's this drop off. The show doesn't come back. You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? So I like the shift. I think it was good. And again, this is me with my limited knowledge of the return. I only saw about 8 episodes in, let's say. So I really don't know the true ending. You guys will have much more to offer on that than I do. But at least going to the return, it felt like a shift that was very much going to always happen at some point. And I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, the ending of season 2 is like a fantastic season finale. And let's say it never returned, and then people get no payoff. It still would have been an awesome series finale, because that twist and Kyle MacLachlan's performance in that last scene is just wonderful. Unreal. I was glad I didn't know that was going to happen. I knew Dale was ultimately going to be stuck in the Red Room, but I didn't know that he was going to also the doppelganger of him was going to be coming out and just be so menacing for that one quick scene to end the season.
Yep.
But yeah, that might be the best episode of the original show for me. That finale.
Yeah,
it's
fair.
So out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the finale. It kind of reminded me of I mean, this is going to be probably sacrilege to say, but growing up, I always read Goosebumps, and there was always the happy ending, and then you read a little bit a couple of pages later, and it was it was kind of like this, where it's oh no, it really wasn't the happy ending you thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. So for me, this was kind of the perfect ending, where it's feels happy, and then you're oh wait, there's more. I kind of knew when he was fighting with his evil doppelganger, I was oh, Dale's not going to make it back. It's going to be the evil doppelganger. And that's probably partially because other stuff has stolen probably from Twin Peaks, if I had to guess, with that ending. But I loved it. I thought it was the perfect way to just cap it off.
That's the Thing.
What would you say was?
It's The Thing. Which one came out first? Probably The Thing, right?
The Thing, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if they borrowed a little from that, because you don't know at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Sorry, Ryan, I stole your movie.
No.
Another
I think everyone here loves The Thing.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
And then The Missing Pieces gave us even a little bit extra of the showing more of what happened at the end of season 2, which I thought was really cool and kind of worth watching. That little compilation as it's a bunch of deleted scenes from Fire Walk with Me, but there was some really good stuff on there because I guess we could talk more about the movie and the transition to, because shit gets dark with Fire Walk with Me. It is so bleak in comparison to the TV show when just focusing on the last week of Laura's life and the murders and everything like that, and just Leland, the way he is. What was your? Does anyone recall? Well, Doug, you obviously remember what you would have thought about it since you just watched it recently. And John, you and me saw it actually in theaters earlier this year. You had seen it previously, but it was my first time watching. Basically, right shortly after finishing season 2. But it was kind of total whiplash for me after watching the 2 seasons of the television show, which aired on ABC. So there's only so much you can get away with. To then being, which for a 1990 TV show, I'm sure it absolutely pushed boundaries, no doubt about it. But the movie is intense and definitely it's an unforgiving look at what's going on in that town. Doug, you had mentioned that after watching Fire Walk with Me, you're like, all right, how did no one in this town know that Laura? Why did everyone think Laura was the most goody-goody person in the world?
Yeah, she's just so openly doing drugs and partying and being this person that's just I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna do drugs and buy drugs and she's part of a drug deal. She's everyone seems to know that she's also a prostitute. It's just I don't know. Yeah, it just seemed couldn't be more obvious that she's
dating multiple people.
Dating. It doesn't feel like she's trying to hide it at all.
Yeah, especially when half the town already also goes to One-Eyed Jack secretly all the time.
We're all going up to Canada.
Yeah. It's funny. I never thought about that, but that's a good point.
But yeah, it really obviously puts the spotlight on Laura, and it shows why she is acting out the way she is in the fact that she's being tormented by Bob, who she sees as her father. Did it make you guys look at Leland in a different light by the end of that movie?
He was one of the victims for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously that wasn't, none of that was his doing. And I think, even going back to the comment about how everyone just kind of saw Laura in this perfect light and didn't do anything about these very obvious signs and just, went on their way and decided to keep their merry perspectives. I think these are all things that indicate a sickness in that town, which I think also plays from everyone's quirkiness and weirdness a little bit, at least from my imaginative perspective. That town isn't right, and I would theorize it's because of how close it is to the other side, the Black Lodge and those entities, and
right,
and their battle with the White Lodge and those
kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Sunnydale.
Yeah, right.
Anyone who knows Buffy,
and I don't, and people don't choose that, but I think there's a darker reason they act the way they are, and they're as weird as they are, and they ignore the things they choose to ignore, is because they're just sick. And that whole town is just sick because it's caught in the middle of something that goes beyond human understanding. So all that to say, I think that all lends to Leland being one of the victims of the Black Lodge and Bob, and it was sad to see his downfall too, as much as Laura was the central aspect of that movie, and the tone and the discomfort and the darkness was also surrounding her, but it definitely gave you perspective on Leland as well.
Yeah,
Doug, it looked like you had a different
not necessarily
sort of reaction when I asked the question.
Yeah, I think he's because I don't disagree with Ryan. He was possessed by Bob, right? So
From a young
to that.
age,
Yeah, from that perspective, like he is a victim. But it did make me like I like Leland a lot as a character throughout this show. Like I just thought he seemed like a good guy for the most part until like some of that Bob storyline plays out, and he was very sympathetic, I thought. Whereas I thought the movie, it's harder to view him as sympathetic because they like paint him as such a monster because when Bob is in control. So I found him a lot more like I had less sympathy for the character, even though like he's still in that same place of being controlled by Bob. And I also found Leland to be a lot more of he felt like a lot more of a villain in this, where Laura's like having to go around the house and like she's scared and hiding from him, and like he's kind of a bit of a terrifying figure.
yeah. Like the scene where she's in the bushes, like outside, like hoping he doesn't see her. He's like legit, like it's a good horror movie scene.
I like that though. So I don't actually, to me, it doesn't make me see Leland as more of a villain. I think this actually does a good job of showing that he's more of a victim, because the whole time we're thinking, oh my God, what's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with this guy? And then you find out, of course, at the end that he is being possessed by Bob and is the one that does all the terrible things. So I think they want you to feel that. They want you to be scared of him. They want you to feel that same fear that Laura is feeling. And I don't know. It makes me sympathize with him even more. And I already did kind of anyway in the show. He just lost the battle, like he just lost the battle to Bob.
It'd be interesting to watch season 1 and beginning of season 2 again.
Yeah.
Knowing that like,
yeah,
Bob, like that Bob is like inhabiting him.
Yeah.
And like it would explain a lot of like the weird stuff that he's doing in those seasons, not violent stuff, like just like the dancing and all these other
singing
like
and the
quirks and things like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he clearly lost the battle with Bob in a way where, I mean, Laura lost in a different way, but like she also like kind of pushed back against like being taken over by him. I mean, her punishment was then being brought to the Red Room and being murdered and being there for 25 years.
Right.
But I thought that was an interesting thing that like showed that she was more powerful than her dad in a way. What did she have some clues like, hey, don't take the ring? Because like she was told like via Annie, like Dale's in the Red Room, like the nice version of Dale's in the Red Room and everything like that. Don't take the ring. So like, yeah, and like she had like the whole like guardian angel aspect like going on in the movie. The movie's trippy, and I really, really enjoyed it. Like it was one where like after we saw it at Alamo Drafthouse, because when you're at Alamo Drafthouse, there's food coming to you and all this other stuff. You're not fully like paying attention to the film. I like went back right after and like rewatched the movie, and I was like, I'm digging this tone. Yeah, that same night.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was probably like stupid to watch a 2.5 hour movie like right after watching it, but I was like really into it. And I'd say the only thing that held that movie back was that like first act before it goes to Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And like they clearly couldn't get Kyle MacLachlan to do like as much as they wanted to. And at least that's what I gather. And they bring in the new characters to be dealing with the other case that had gone on. And I wasn't fully into the movie during that part. But then once it gets to Twin Peaks, like, or really once like it brings in, goes to like the FBI headquarters and then starts bringing more of the characters, then I was like, this movie fully has me invested. And I'm into the dark aspect of this even more so than before.
I thought there was some very valuable exposition there in the first act. Giving you some more background on, Philip Jeffries and the other detective whose name is escaping me at the moment.
Yeah, Chris Isaacs, detective.
Yeah.
Pulling up the name. Chester, Desmond.
Yeah, Desmond.
That sounds right. Yeah.
But it was a little bit of an awkward transition from that to Laura's story, which was really the heart of that movie.
Yeah, and you could see why, like, with the missing pieces, they cut so many characters out of the movie because they really wanted to put the emphasis on Laura and her story, which ultimately I think was the wise decision.
Yeah.
Because you don't get Laura's story, you just get it in passing in Twin Peaks of people talking about her, and the way people talk about her is so much different from one character to another, where one's talking about her like she's an angel and one's talking about her like she's just an absolute wild child. So seeing why she is who she is, how she is both of those elements in Fire Walk with Me, it was cool to actually see that. And because all right, with the return, it's dealing with like her and Dale and 25 years later and him trying to rescue her. You want to actually know who the character is. So I was glad we got to spend that time with her in this prequel movie.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And there was that one scene, I might get the location wrong, but basically when they're in that, like, the club. Was that One-Eyed Jack? I don't know if it was One-Eyed Jack's, but when they're in the club and they have this one track that plays for the entire time, and you can hardly.
I know the scene you're talking about. Yeah,
you can't hear
that back room.
The back room at maybe it's One-Eyed Jack's, maybe somewhere else, whatever. And Jacques Cousteau is there, and whoever else, like, right, and they're drinking and doing the drugs. There's like. It's almost in the same way as the intro tune to Twin Peaks gets you, because they play it every episode, and you feel that feeling that's kind of like calming but also disturbing. That one bass line that plays basically the entire time they're in this dark back room club, and you see all of what's happening, and you just feel like some bad shit is gonna happen.
Yeah. And
it just keeps playing to the point where that bass line gets stuck in your head for like 20 minutes after you finish the scene. And I don't know, I'm just as much of a fan of music as I am of movies and TV. And I know that was so intentional because it was almost like the dark undertone to the whole rest of the movie. Like, you just knew some bad things were going to happen. It was a matter of when. So I liked that. Yeah, I really liked that.
Also, one thing about music that I meant to mention earlier was, I don't know if you guys knew, but the composer of the show, he actually lived in Lincoln Park.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where he passed away a few years ago, in Lincoln Park, which is pretty wild. But yeah, no, John, I do know what you're talking about, because I can hear it in my head,
right?
Just over and over again,
over and over.
It's like hypnotizing, away. And that scene feels so dreamlike, also.
But also, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but now that I think about it, I actually think that that's important for another reason, because that scene actually shows Laura's character, because you get a bunch of different perspectives from everybody on what Laura is or who Laura is. Is she the good girl? Is she the one that's sleeping around with the whole town? Is she doing drugs? Is she whatever? But she stops what she's doing to save. God,
say Donna.
Thank you, Donna. I always forget because they changed the actress. So
I was gonna say that's
it's a little weird.
Thoughts about recasting,
right? But she stops everything that's happening to save Donna, because she's she should not be part of this world. So no matter what I am, I'm gonna make sure this person is not going to be a part of this. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool, and spoke a lot to who she actually is. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, good shout out. But yeah, obviously Donna was recasted, only character I believe recasted throughout the entire show. That doesn't turn into some sort of tea kettle or teapot or a plant or something like that, a creature. But seems like she was the only one that was ever recast. I'm glad they ultimately did not go that route in recasting more characters in the return to bring people back. Who had passed away in preceding years or anything like that, or who passed on doing it. Obviously, we'll get to Harry not being, because nobody mentioned Harry, great character.
Great character, sure.
But
yeah.
he didn't return in the return, so instead they have someone playing his brother, a different actor playing his brother. But yeah, I thought that was the one other thing about Fire Walk with Me that like kind of like took me out of the movie was a little bit was not having Lara Flynn Boyle playing Donna. But she was an essential character. Like if you're doing the week leading up to her death, you kind of have to have the character, and it's not a situation where you can be like, "Hey, let's put in a tea kettle to play this character." Right. Like it needs to be a human being.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think it was the right call. It just was distracting, and I thought the actress did a good job. It was a completely different take than Lara Flynn Boyle's version of Donna. I thought she was like, I don't know, in some ways, like it worked a little bit better for me, where she was like the sweetness, I guess, to Laura Palmer, but yeah, it's distracting nonetheless because it's a completely different actress.
Yeah, which, there's not much you can do about it if the actress doesn't want to come back, right? So I get it. But, Doug, that's a good point. I almost wonder what Twin Peaks would have been like if the other, and then forgive me, I don't know the newer actress, the replacement actress. I don't know her name off the top of my head. But I almost wonder what it would have been like if she were there from the start. Like, would it have been the same experience? Because I didn't hate her as Donna.
Yeah.
It just was a different Donna.
It was a completely different take. Yeah.
It's just weird when you're used to so many hours watching one actress play a character, and then someone pops in, and okay.
It can work though, because very random topic change, but look at Marvel with Don Cheadle coming in for, War Machine. That worked out, and he obviously stuck with it, and I would never have.
Certainly worked out for Don Cheadle.
Yeah, it certainly worked out for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a number of times that someone's been recast, and it's worked out.
Sure.
So I mean, it could definitely be possible, but yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been a different feeling, definitely for the character. It had been this other person. I don't think necessarily bad, but probably definitely different. This one just felt sweeter. Like like I said, she just felt sweeter, like a nicer character than Lara Flynn Boyle's, which kind of had that like some undertones to her.
But Lara Flynn Boyle's character still, like version of the character, still had that like edgy femme fatale, slightly. She was still like nowhere near as much as like some of the other, like Audrey or someone who like had like a sex pot edge to her the entire like show.
Right.
But
I almost wonder if this would have worked better though for Donna's character, because wasn't she supposed to be the one that was supposedly aligned with like the goody two shoes part of Laura? I almost wonder if the sweetness kind of would have worked better as that. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just thinking.
All right. So before we move into the return, did Corey have anything we can note about his thoughts on the original run, or any theories that he had going into the return, things that he was hoping to get out of it, anything like that? And this would be questions for you guys, Ryan, John, because Doug and I were not attuned at the time.
I'm gonna lean so heavily on you, Ryan, because I guarantee you that you would know this,
especially having rewatched it with him.
Yeah.
Like he rewatched it the first time you watched it, from my understanding.
Yeah, I just think like everyone else, he didn't know what to expect. And if I recall our conversations correctly, I think he was very adamant before that season ended that there wasn't going to be any closure, just like the first time around, and that Lynch was going to be Lynchian on us again.
He was correct.
He was correct. But yeah, I remember our shared excitement more so than like the details and theories we exchanged, because there were so many.
I know he was always convinced there was going to be another season. Like he'd always text, like, I mean, I can go back to text, and he'd be like, Showtime really wants a season 4. They're really pushing for it. and like or be like David Lynch is working on some other project, could be Twin Peaks related.
I was right there with him, but I think that was more hope than anything.
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
And I won't get into the details just yet, but the way that the return ended, I wasn't disappointed about the way it ended. Ultimately, I'm disappointed that we're never going to see that idea go somewhere.
Doug, what was your analogy that you had recently when you finished the return about having two types of endings, like a fan service ending and like the David Lynch ending? Or did you compare it to another project? I don't, or maybe you didn't compare it to another project. That's just what you appreciated that had both those endings, and that you preferred the David Lynch ending.
Yeah, I mean, I think it felt very clear. I don't know if it was like, was it the episode prior, the penultimate, where it just kind of, it felt like everything wrapped up with a bow, like, you know, like this is the ending that fans have been like dying for, where like, you know, Coop defeats evil doppelganger.
Yeah, so it's the penultimate
everybody's all
episode.
Together. Yeah, and it's just like, it feels like, you know, happy, everything's happy now, and like, you know, every fans got what they want because the hero prevailed over evil, and we got all the characters together, or a number of characters together, and then yeah, you go into that final episode afterwards, and it's just like, what the hell is going on? You know, like, it's just like, what is this? And like, this is not the happy ever after ending. This is like, what the fuck am I watching? That's the only way I could, like, I was just like, I felt like I was on a ride, and I was just like trying to hold on in that last episode.
And leave it to the last episode to hit us with yet another version of Coop.
Yeah, exactly.
After we got 4.
And you only get, if you time the amount of time that Special Agent Dale Cooper is in the real world on the entire season of The Return, like the OG Special Agent Dale Cooper from the original, like that type of character, personality and everything, it's probably 15 to 20 minutes total of the entire season. I mean, yeah, he's in the entire season, like, because Dougie's in the entire season for the most part. And like you see, and Coop when he's in like the Red Room, but he's obviously not, like, he doesn't have his normal personality when he's in the Red Room. But like, he's only like the Coop that we like know from the OG show for probably 20 minutes total. If you like actually like timed the amount of screen time, which is, it's crazy.
So the final episode is like an MCU post-credit scene.
Yeah, I mean, in a way that it's setting up something. Seems like it's setting up something. Doesn't
I
solve the
couldn't tell
mystery.
you like what the ending is. Like, someone was like, describe the ending of Twin Peaks and like what it meant. I don't know, like
And Doug, you were saying that in the last episode, and we're going right to the end, but
I know.
we'll dive back, obviously. You were sick because Ryan brought it up, how it, like, in the last episode, like, you're getting a new version, like Kyle MacLachlan's essentially playing another version of like Coop.
Yep.
You had said that you were like, this felt like a realistic version of like Coop, like not super cheery or anything. Like, it felt like an actual, like, just human being.
Yeah, he felt the most just like a normal person, like and it felt the most outside of the Twin Peaks world. So yeah, it almost kind of felt like when a cartoon enters like the real world in like a movie or something. That's kind of like what it felt like. I have no idea
Space Jam.
I have no idea what that meant or why, or like anything really behind that, other than it was just like, it kind of felt like, it started to feel like meta in a way that I don't know if that was the intent or not, but it almost kind of felt like they were like, if they had the act, like if he was like, if his name was Kyle, I would be like, oh, they're like, you know, they're in the real world now and these are the actors. So it kind of had like that the vibe of it, but it clearly
It's
that's
Kyle and Cheryl. Here they are.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's
Laura.
Dern.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it kind of had that kind of vibe to it, but they didn't have those names, and they weren't like, oh, we're actors. So I don't really know what to make of it other than it was weird.
I'm ready to dive into this ending anytime, but if we want to wait, just tell me and I'll refrain.
No, feel free.
Let's
Dive.
So essentially, and it's actually been quite a while since I saw the end of that season, so I'm working with a little bit of a hazy memory. But the idea was, which again could be completely wrong because all this is just conversation now at this point. The idea was Coop and Diane, Coop and Diane had stepped into an alternate reality, essentially, where Coop was a different version of himself. Laura Palmer was a completely different person, different life and everything, but like it was her. So the idea was, after everything was said and done in that episode, and Jon, what essentially happens is, sorry, I'm going to straight up spoil it for you. We're in it now.
You're good. We're here. Let's do it.
So the idea was, to combat the overarching threat, Coop had to bring Laura Palmer, in whatever world they were in this final episode, to her house where it all happened.
Okay.
But she's, whatever reality they're in this final episode, she's not Laura Palmer. Like, different life, different name. But
and the town's like different. Like,
yeah, everything's different.
Yeah.
Like, it's shot differently. Like, the way, like, the look of like the town, like different lighting. Like, it doesn't look like Twin Peaks.
So it's
Even though it
completely
is
different. And like we said, Coop is different. Like, he's not acting like his normal self.
He almost acts like how he should act, like someone who's been hardened and traumatized by his profession, and who has just seen things and
seen some shit.
He's seen some shit
and knows how to handle shit. Like,
he's not that
like, as you can see from that scene in the diner, like in that episode. But so what happens is they get to Laura's old house, and there's someone completely different living there, like different lady, different family. So that's when Coop starts to realize like something's wrong, and it's in the middle of the night. It's pitch black, like it's only street lights, and there's this long moment where Coop is just standing there, and when he realizes that they're not where we're supposed to be and things aren't the way they're supposed to be, he goes, "What year is it?" And the camera cuts to Laura Palmer just staring at this house, her old house, and then she just screams, like,
She hears Sarah Palmer yelling Laura.
Right. Oh, I forgot about that detail.
Juicy.
And she just blood curdling scream, like the kind that just makes your spine crawl.
Yeah, dude, I got chills. Like, every time I think about it, I don't know why.
And Coop looks at her like, what? And the final shot of the show is it goes back to the house, and all the lights just go off, and it's dark, and then the credits roll.
And electricity plays such a big part in that season.
So I think the idea was the overarching threat, this entity Judy, who had kind of been like the Black Lodge entity that's been, the idea is that she's been pulling these strings since, however long ago, ended up trapping these characters in an alternate dimension, to throw them off of her trail. And the idea was she gave Laura Palmer that like alternate life and identity. And so the idea was the show ended with them trapped in whatever, world Judy had them in.
Okay. Interesting.
And I'm sure I might have said some things that don't line up perfectly with some of the details, but again, it's been a while. But that was the idea, and that's the idea that Corey and I had discussed too, on many occasions.
And I think Kate mentioned something that Corey had thought Judy was,
Sarah Palmer,
Laura,
or no,
Sarah
Laura
Palmer,
Palmer.
or Laura's mom.
Well, Judy was possessing her mom through the return.
Okay, that would make sense based on that bar scene.
Yeah, I was
late
going
in
to
the
say that exact
season.
thing. Remember the scene where she lifts her face off and it's another dark face and a black hole? Yeah, that's because
chomps the guy's fucking head off.
Yeah, that's because she was possessed by Judy.
Okay, so both her parents have been possessed.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't have a clue what the ending meant.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of it at all.
Like, I knew like at the beginning of the season, the giant, who I forget what his character, the fireman as he's named in season 3, tells Coop to remember a number and remember these 2 names, and then in the finale, they drive to that like mile marker or whatever, like 830 miles or whatever, and that brings them to the point where it seems like that's when their personalities change to the other name, to those 2 names that the fireman said in the premiere, and told them to remember. But yeah, as far, I mean, anything past that, I was just like, I don't know. But I mean, that's as good a theory as any that I've heard.
Yeah, I think that the idea in a very cheap summary is that these 2 characters continue to be pieces in a game between the Black and White Lodge.
I mean, they clearly still know
and now Judy's on the front lines.
Yeah. I mean, and both of them clearly, like, obviously Coop knew his entire past based on the fact that he's going to look for Laura in, like, he's got a mission right from the get-go when he's that other version of the character. But Laura takes a while to, remember, like, who she is. It's not until, like, the scream, like, when her name gets shouted out by her mom and she's in front of the house and she screams, it seems like that's when she, like gets connected to like who she like actually is, or like remembers.
She wakes up essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
that, in a way, it's sort of like how Audrey wakes up, earlier in the season. Obviously, she's in a completely different sort of situation, but yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from the finale.
Okay. And that's why she has a completely different identity in whatever reality that is.
Yeah, where she's down in down in Texas or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know I never saw it, so I can't really weigh in on an opinion of that ending. But based on what I know from what I have seen, it does sort of seem like it's always been this battle between the Black and White Lodges, and that the epicenter of all this stuff is kind of like, or like wherever the veil is the thinnest, so to speak, is Twin Peaks. Right in the woods. So I feel like that's the whole metaverse that they're building, or that Lynch was trying to build in the background, and then they just use the characters to obviously enact out all of the goings on, or whatever you would call it, of these 2 alternate realities, essentially. So that makes sense. Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. In terms of what
it simultaneously both makes sense and doesn't make sense.
Right, exactly.
It's like that line in Oppenheimer that you see memed up all the time. Like, I forget what exactly it is about how something shouldn't make sense, but it does. It's paradoxical.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, I forgot it. I'll look it up.
But yeah, that's kind of what it's like.
That's funny.
I mean, it totally like makes sense in David Lynch's brain, and obviously, he was never going to like spell it out for anyone. Like that was never going in the cards. If he lived another 20 years, unless we got more Twin Peaks in the future, that would have been the only way we would have gotten more answers.
It wouldn't have answered anything. It would have just.
It ultimately would have led to more questions. Yes. Just like at Lost, every time it like answered a question, it would throw down like 10 more, or would throw down 10 more questions.
Right.
That tried to give more answers than Twin Peaks did. But I mean, there's something to be said for leaving audiences in the lurch and making them think about things long after they're done. I mean, those kind of things tend to stay with people, I feel like, more than ones that just wrap everything in a bow. And like, all right, game over. You really don't have to think. Like, you know exactly what happened, and that's that. So, I mean, I appreciate the whole mystery, like the fact that we're talking about it now, and that people will be talking about it, and as long as people consume media, is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely. I couldn't tell you the stats, but I know there are definitely people who like that clear-cut ending, like you said, wrapped in a bow. Here it is.
Yeah.
I mean, those are good every once in a while, sure. There's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, if you nail it, like that,
you nail it,
it can be talked about just as much.
Right.
But only so many nail it.
So many nail it. I've always been a big fan of the ones that end with a question. Anything that ends with a question. That just gets even deeper and deeper and deeper the more you talk about it. And I know that a lot of Nolan films are like that, which is why, I mean, it's
like Inception.
Like Inception, right? Like you could go back and you can probably argue to the death and find examples within the movie to prove whatever you think the real ending is, right?
Doug's like, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, right? It's been so long since I've seen it.
He didn't have his wedding ring on. Or no, he had it on at the end, I think.
Right. But he saw his kids' faces, right? So I don't know. You could always. It's been a long time since I saw.
You gotta go by the wedding ring. That's the secret.
Is that the secret?
He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it on when he's awake. He has it on when he's in his dream world. I think that's how it works.
Interesting. But regardless, my point, right? That's the stuff that's good. I like talking about the possibilities, and I think that's arguably probably a lot of the point. Like, I don't think Lynch was just I don't think he ever wanted people to just walk away from this and say, oh, I know exactly what the hell happened, because if they did, they'd be insane, just like he was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like.
I mean, it's ultimately not about like the destination. I feel like it's like about the journey when it comes to like his stuff.
Right. He very much made journeys.
Yeah. And the characters were all on journeys too. So like, it's not like they all even knew what was going on. They were just living through it.
And I have moments. I had moments, and still do, when I'm watching Twin Peaks again, where I start to overthink and overquestion things. And every time I stop myself, because I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's not what makes this show so good.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a roller coaster, and I'm on it for the way it feels, not the way it works.
Like, if you overanalyze it too much, like you'll lose your mind and you'll hate it. I mean, the way The Return was done, there's scenes that take like. He was basically just splicing and throwing things where he saw fit. Like, all right, this moment feels like it'd be appropriate here. Timeline-wise, it didn't make sense at all. Like, he's in a scene with Sonny Jim that takes place after a moment that they had already done 2 episodes prior.
Speaking of that, remember I watched I accidentally watched the episodes out of order, and I didn't realize it till I got to that episode.
That was great.
I somehow, instead of watching episode 6 or episode 3, I accidentally watched 6, but then somehow went back to 4. I just switched 6 and 3. So when I went to watch 6, I was like, "What's going on? I've seen this already." Like, I thought maybe that's what Twin Peaks was doing, is they were just going back to that episode again. So I probably got halfway through it, and I was like, "No, this is the same exact thing I watched."
I'm like, dude, you missed an incredibly important episode.
So I had to go back and watch 3, and where I had 6, because and I had no idea. It all works still.
That's crazy. It's like Pulp Fiction.
And exactly.
You know,
nonlinear story.
Right. And my dad always tells me this story about the first time he saw Pulp Fiction. He would always catch bits and pieces of it, like whenever it was just on cable. Mm-hmm. And he told me that he never saw it in order. So when he actually watched it for the first time in order, he said that it helped him to understand what was going on because he had seen everything already out of order. So it made sense going through the first time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it sounds like kind of a little bit like what you experienced, Doug.
Yeah, it was. I still don't know how that happened, but it was just like it was wild that I didn't realize.
Good luck,
it.
though.
Like, weren't you wondering how he just turned into this Dougie character and like how he just appeared?
I just went with it. I mean, I was just like, oh, I guess he's Dougie now.
I was gonna say, I'll bet you didn't even question it much at all. You were probably
it was
here goes Lynch again.
It was funny. You had your own you were creating your own theories about something that David Lynch already answered.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like,
ooh,
I was like, what's going on? Is he like in like a purgatory or like?
Yeah.
I kind of actually liked it better than not explaining how he became Dougie. I felt like that worked better.
Oh man, that's funny. Oh, Dougie.
But yeah, I mean, it was interesting with how they made the return because I was reading about it, and it was like the whole negotiating money and episodes and things like that. And eventually, they just got to a deal where it's like, all right, we're just going to give you a lump sum money. Like, if you can make these 18 episodes that you want to make 18 episodes, spend as much money as you need to on each individual episode. Like you don't need a certain amount. We're not going to give you the same amount of money for every episode. Just here's a bunch of cash. Film your 18 hours and then turn it into the episodes that you want. And it really does feel like that to a degree. Because I mean, you have characters just come and go, like where they'll appear in episode 2 and then they won't appear again until like episode 8. Like I don't know, Amanda Seyfried, for example, like she just like comes and goes with like no explanation. Like it takes a long time before you find out even who these characters are that they're introducing, like at some points in the show, whether they're a new character or whatever.
That's not so different than seasons 1 and 2, though. Honestly, like that's kind of a similar formula. You know, I think we actually talked about that earlier.
That's true.
Where characters will just pop up and then you'll be like, oh, that was weird. That sounds important. And then nothing happens for like 4 episodes.
Yeah. and then it's not really until like the last third of the season where they're like, all right, we're going to bring in like some more of these like fan favorite characters from like the early seasons and like really like start to tell their stories. Like Big Ed, like he doesn't really appear until probably like the back third of the season.
Right.
Audrey doesn't appear until then. I mean,
which is why I missed it.
Yeah, you'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, someday.
But yeah, it's just an interesting experiment in storytelling, and like it gets into the whole debate on whether, I mean, Doug knows what I think of it about whether The Return is a TV show, like a season of television, or whether it's a movie. In my opinion, it's season of television. There's the argument that it is an 18-hour movie, and because it's the same director the entire time and it's the same writers the entire time.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion it's a season of TV, but I mean, it was certainly an interesting experiment, regardless, in how it was put out.
It's just cool that they did it so much later.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it actually worked. I mean, so many reboots suck, and like revivals of television shows.
It's, you know, not to keep flip-flopping between different mediums and stuff, but it in a lot of ways. And
since there's the debate that it's a movie.
Well, there's that, but it reminds me a lot of. You guys play Kingdom Hearts at all?
My brother did. I never did.
You don't really have to.
I'm familiar with it, obviously,
but it's like the same thing. Like the third game came out like what 17 years after the first game and was made a killing. You know, like it's you don't have to have played the games. It's just the same sort of a situation where it's kind of like a mind-blowing thing. Like, oh my god, I never thought this would happen, and here it is. Yeah,
and I mean, most of the time you're disappointed by these like revivals or reboots. Like I was saying, like
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, I mean, like Happy Gilmore 2 just came out. Like that was a sequel that like I did not need to see and it disappointed. I had some entertaining stuff, but for the most part, it just tried for fan service and just bring celebrity cameos and things like that, and like it didn't focus on the story. like when it focused on the story, like that was when it was at its best. But it like would then shoehorn just unnecessary things just to do that. And The Return did not do that, which was one of the best aspects of it. It was like fan service. No, like if you liked it, like I guess if you like something, it's fan service. But we're not going to just do like callbacks to things nonstop and all that just to get you to be like, ooh, like again, like referring to a Quentin Tarantino thing, just being like Leonardo DiCaprio and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, be like I know that, like pointing at the TV. Like he arguably gives you like that for, again, like one episode towards the end of the show, and then he goes right back to doing what he wants to do.
A little bit of that is okay.
A little bit is okay in doses, and it is fucking incredible when it does the one big fan service moment of the show, which Doug knows the moment I'm talking about. I mean, he sent me it in a GIF, and I'm sure Ryan probably knows as well what it is.
4 little words.
Yep, and it is incredible. You're like, it's like you're back in OG Twin Peaks, and it's so good. But like, if it was like that the entire time, wouldn't have been satisfying, nearly as satisfying. It's the expectation to get, like the anticipation of getting to that moment.
They make you wait for it.
Which is crazy because they were already making people wait 25 years. And then they're like, all right, now you're going to wait another 16 weeks or 14 weeks or however. But damn, it like pays off so well.
It does make you question the extent of Lynch's madness. Like, because they literally picked that show back up 25 years later, aligned with the canonical details of that show and the events.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, like, did he wrap season 2 and then say, all right, we'll pick this back up in 25 years? Or did the stars just align?
I think the stars just aligned.
Yeah.
It like
probably, but
like a happy miracle.
And there was no way for him to know if he would make season 3 in 25 years. But it does, like, knowing what kind of creator he is, it does make you wonder, like, was that in the back of his mind?
Okay, I get what you're saying. I mean, it certainly could have been, but the fact that it actually panned out, I consider like a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you could think there. I mean, I would not put it past him to at least have thought we're going to pick this back up at a later point in time. 25 years, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I don't think it's too unrealistic to say that he could have been like, we want a gap, you know?
Because a lot went wrong before they eventually got it right. Like in order to get The Return made, like they were supposed to do like a trilogy of movies. Like I don't know if they were all going to be prequels or if one was going to be prequel, 2 were going to be sequels. But Fire Walk with Me bombed at the box office, so no more movies. Like you had the show. My guess is they came back to just try to save the show in season 2 because the ratings had gone so low and everything like that. And then eventually they realized, all right, we're not going to be able to. Let's just make a banger series finale.
Right.
And then they got lucky enough where they got the funding to make the movie. But then to get Showtime to then be like, all right, like after so many like difficult negotiations to be like, all right, here's the money you need. Create what you can create.
Just do what you want to do.
Yeah, and it takes them years to like get it done. So many actors died during the process, like just in real life, because again, it's 25 years later, and a lot of the actors in the original show are on the older side. Like I mean, the Log Lady, like she died like days after finishing filming her episode, like her episodes, her scenes. It's wild.
That was such a. I mean, you talked about chills. Like I texted you, Murph, but like I had chills on like her episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just there was just something about
so good.
Oh,
and you know, it felt like in a couple of ways, you know, she was saying goodbye.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. There was an authenticity there that was just like she was actually saying goodbye, you know, to
even
for
with
life.
yeah, and like even with the actor who played Albert, like he had cancer while filming the season and passed before the show aired. And there's one line that Gordon has where he's like, I worry about you, Albert, or something like that, where you can look at it as like a meta type thing. Because I mean, a bunch died before the show aired and got their tributes in various ways, whether it be flashbacks or things like that. And then died during the making of it or died right after. Like they wouldn't even, I don't even know if they would have been, if, let's say David Lynch didn't die. I don't even know could you make another season at this point? Because at this point, so many characters now or actors have passed.
If it's something he really wanted to do, he would have gotten it done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, when we kicked off this part of the conversation, that's the big disappointment to me with the way it ended. It's not how it ended, because it was just horrific brilliance. But it's now we're never gonna know where he would have went with that. Like that was a killer twist, and I would have loved to see more of that idea in another season or a movie, whatever it would have taken.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're really just and unless Mark Frost does something, now we're really just left to our imaginations. Like that's it.
Yeah, and I think if we are to get anything else, it would more likely be like a book, or then versus like a feature or any sort of TV show. Because I mean, I'm sure so many of them are so like Kyle MacLachlan's so loyal to David Lynch, like for making his career with Dune and Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks. Like, is he going to want to return like with the pall of David Lynch not being around?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, I don't know. Like, it'd be probably really hard for them to work on it without him because he was such a big figure.
Yeah, I think this is it, which is which is fine. Left to our imaginations.
Yeah, and again, like, lucky the return even happened, that it worked to the degree that it did. Because, I mean, it should have not worked, but it somehow did.
Yeah.
I guess was there anything that didn't work for you guys? I know we touched very briefly on Harry not being part of the return. I think that was one of Doug and my bigger bummers of the season was him not returning.
I was really banking on him having a brief cameo. Like Coop comes back, goes to visit him in the hospital, something. But it was all after the fact. I looked into it, and he was just done with acting at that point.
Yeah. And like Robert Forster, like incredible actor. And like he was really good as his brother. But
great step in.
Yeah.
For that character. Yeah.
But still bummer not to get the reunion of Hawk and all of them together.
I was really banking on one scene, like where you know they go, like I said, they go see Harry like in the hospital or something. But
yeah, I mean that was the reunion I was looking forward to the most. Was just like getting Harry, Coop, and Hawk, all together again.
Bookhouse boys.
Yeah, I got the Bookhouse boys back together. So I kind of felt like, because I didn't read about it going into it, I kind of felt like, all right, like it was like 5 episodes in, 6 episodes in, I was like, they're really dragging this like Harry coming in, out pretty far. And then I was just like, let me just look and make sure that I'm not like setting myself up for disappointment. And then I saw he wasn't coming back. And I was just like, that's such a bummer, because that's the reunion that I wanted to see the most. So I respect him for like, if he's not into it anymore, doesn't want to do it, that's fine. But still a super big bummer.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally. I share those opinions.
Of what I did see in the return, that's probably the same thing that I'm disappointed in, because I only got about 8 episodes, I think I said, or somewhere thereabout. So yeah, for me, that was probably one of the biggest regrets, at least I know of, in the beginning of the show. I wish that they did more with that. That would have been nice. Now I know it doesn't happen. Totally fine. Because
honestly, it's probably better knowing it.
Probably knowing now.
Like Doug said, because you're just waiting for this.
Right.
Also, now you know that Audrey's arc is not necessarily the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's better that in my opinion, it's better that you know that now.
Yeah.
Than when you get to it.
I think so.
And which I would say would probably be my 1A, 1B on just disappointing aspects of the show would be no Harry, and then the allotted time to Audrey and what they allotted her time to. Yeah. Even though I did find the last moment of her very satisfying. So yeah, that would be the second then, because there was some satisfaction in that. And even with Truman, like I said, Robert Forster is an incredible actor. And apparently that's who David Lynch originally wanted to play Harry, on the show. But he passed on the original run, or was unavailable. Which worked out, because the guy who ended up Michael Onkeen, is that how you pronounce the last name? Who ended up playing Harry was incredible.
Yeah.
As that character. And it would have been a very different character if Robert Forster had played him, because he's a very different type of actor. So I think it worked out. He definitely his type of acting was way more appropriate for the return than the original Twin Peaks.
Right.
I wouldn't change a thing about the way the show was written. I actually wouldn't change a thing about the show, period. But it's still disappointing that we didn't get more of Coop in his full form.
I was thinking that,
literally 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I respect and appreciate everything that kept that from happening, but I still wanted to see more of him.
Because we also love Dougie so much, so it's
yes, but I was definitely getting Dougie exhaustion.
You were you hit a Dougie, you were getting Dougie fatigue,
and not because he stopped being entertaining, but because I want Coop now.
Yeah, when is this going to happen?
We're running out of time. What's going on? So I regret that we didn't get to see more of him interact with the current state of things and the world and the characters, new and returning. But again, I wouldn't change that about the show, because everything was just so good and impactful before that. But it still sucks a little bit.
Yeah, the Return of Coop episode, that was the one where that night or the following day, I texted Corey and Doug in our group chat and was heard Twin Peaks was a big one last night, and Corey was so delighted. Which, no surprise. Coop's back. So yeah. So the nitpicks are minor ultimately.
Yeah.
I think across the board. I think with something, again, knowing that I didn't finish The Return, just across the board, with something like Twin Peaks, it's hard to have nitpicks, because I think you don't really know what you're nitpicking.
Yeah.
It's all weirdly and geniusly intentional, to a point where you're I don't
your nitpick might actually
happened, but I guess it should have happened, but why?
Your nitpick could just show how much you don't actually understand it. If you're talking to someone who really does.
Yeah.
Be oh well, damn, I feel stupid now.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think the only thing you can really nitpick is just the whole package. It's just not for you. Either
it's not for everyone.
I think it's a love it or hate it thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. For sure.
And the fact that we are Corey's best friends, not surprised that we all loved it. So ultimately glad that
we all got convinced.
He did suck us all into it eventually.
Yeah, that's for sure.
He started it. He definitely started it, for sure. In one way or another, it all trickled through to everybody.
Exactly. No,
So
it was like an electricity current or something. Just eventually reached everyone.
So I think it's awesome that you guys asked Ryan and I to be on this episode. I know it means a lot to us. Corey obviously means a lot to all of us, and crazy that it's been a year. But Corey brought a lot of awesome things to all of us, even if at the time we were like, "What are you talking about? What? Why are you sending me links to 17 different games and shows and articles and things to buy at 3 a.m. when I'm trying to sleep?" And in the beginning, I think Twin Peaks was definitely nothing short of that for me. I was like, all right, this is just another Corey thing, you know? And even though we all started watching it for different reasons and it came into our lives in different ways, I think the one thing that's awesome is that it is something that brought us all together. And that is something that we are obviously continuing to talk about. We've been talking about for like, a couple hours now, right? And it's great. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So despite the fact that we all started watching for different reasons, at the crux of everything was definitely Corey. And it is one of the many, many things that he brought to all of our lives. And, I'm super grateful for that. And I think his memory obviously lives on in many things, but especially Twin Peaks. So thanks, Corey.
Twin Peaks kind of sums up Corey's taste in everything, because his taste kind of did go in every direction, whether it be in movies, TV, video games, music. There wasn't anything that he really was against. It was open to the unknown and giving things a chance. And I mean, that's really Twin Peaks is that. And I mean, once he got into it, there were so many things where he'd call out and be like, "Oh, that's like David Lynchian. This is definitely inspired by Twin Peaks or David Lynch." So I mean, he really loved this program, and it took a while again for us to all eventually get to it. But certainly glad we did, because we got to have this awesome conversation tonight, and talk about our friend who obviously we've missed now for the past year. So glad we got to do this little thing for him. But yeah, obviously miss him.
Well said.
He left us with a lot of gifts. Twin Peaks being one of them. But I think the biggest one was, I think that this podcast is a testament to that, is us all being together and, talking about it. Not just talking about something that, he introduced us to that we all love, whether, no matter how it eventually trickled down the ladder, but the fact that we're all here together talking about anything at all. It's a shame that we couldn't come together like this when he was still here, but us, coming together afterwards, it's one of the best gifts I think he left us with. So thank you for that, Corey, and for the introduction to Twin Peaks and being able to have that conversation about it, all together.
Yeah, I mean, the introduction to Twin Peaks and the introduction from you guys to us and everything like that. I mean, we got to thank Corey for that.
100%.
And, we'll be having conversations about Corey hopefully 25 years from now.
I think, us coming together on this podcast, talking about Twin Peaks, which, Murph and I didn't get to see, with Corey, but, this being able to share it with you guys has been really, something special, and it, kind of helps, keep Corey kind of feeling like he's still here in some ways. And so that's really nice, and to have this with you guys and to, kind of feel that and talk about Twin Peaks and, some of the nerdy stuff that we all
Lots of nerdy stuff.
All are into.
All nerdy stuff.
Kind of bonded us all together with Corey. So, yeah, it's crazy that it's been a year, but I'm really thankful for, being able to have you guys and be able to have this conversation and other conversations like it. So, yeah.
Same, man.
All right. Well, I think that wraps things up for today. Hopefully, Corey got to hear this somewhere. But yeah, obviously, we miss you, buddy. And thank you for everything that you did give us while you were here. So this has been Doug and Murph, along with our special guests, Ryan and Jon at Live Breathe Film, signing off.
Bye.